Hello, good morning, and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis. This is Shyam Kaggod here, taking up the discussion for the date 20th June 2025. Before I start the discussion, please do give me the confirmation that I'm audible and visible for all of you. Do let me know. Am I audible and visible for all of you? Done. Let's start then. So this is a list of the topics that I've taken. Total 10. In fact, there are 11 articles. Don't worry, there is one surprise article for all of you. So these 10 articles have been taken from the Hindu newspaper, Delhi edition, and one article from the Indian Express. This has been done in order to ensure that the discussion will be comprehensive and all of your requirements for the civil services prelims as well as mains will be addressed here. So if you're liking this initiative, do not forget to hit the like button. And if you're yet to join our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Somebody wants to download the PPT that I'm using in today's session, you can join the Telegram channel. After the session is over, the PDF of the PPT will be uploaded in the Telegram channel. Last session that I took, there was certain number of comments which were saying we want PDF. It is there in PPT form. People were basically placing the comment without looking at the format of the file. It is uploaded in the form of PDF. Please download it. And second point, a lot of you keep on asking me for current affairs of Indian economy. Important current affairs discussion, because Indian economy as such is one of the let's say feared subjects, one of the most concerning subjects for a lot of aspirants. To address your issues, from yesterday, we have launched a new initiative, Economy This Week. Every Thursday, the video will be uploaded in the Telegram channel. Watch the video, understand the concepts which are discussed in the video. Regarding the handout, again, the handout will be uploaded like yesterday in my Telegram channel. Done? Okay. So, if you're someone who is preparing for the civil services examination 26 or 27, our courses are available at a price of 22,999. Once you enroll into the course, you will get access to the recorded as well as the live lectures of Hindi language, Hindi medium, English as well as English. You will get study material. You will get access to prelims as well as mains test series. So, if you're interested, do check out the details by clicking on the link provided in the description below. Now, let me start the discussion. The first article that I'll be discussing is the helicopter crash that has been reported in the state of Uttarakhand. Sorry. In the state of Uttarakhand, please understand, right now there is a particular season that is happening. Season in the sense there are certain religious sites which will attract lot of people during this particular season. The season generally starts in the month of April or May, goes on till October to November. That is essentially this is the time period around 6 months during which a lot of people will visit these four places which are very famously referred to as Char Dhams. I'm pretty sure you must have heard of this Char Dham. What are these particular Char Dhams? One is Yamunotri, second one is Gangotri, third one is Kedarnath, and the fourth one is Badrinath. Kedarnath and Badrinath. Now, these are the four religious places, very sacred places. A lot of Hindus or devotees visit these particular places in this 6 months window. And the government of India has promoted a lot of economic activity, lot of services to be provided for these people who visit the Char Dhams during this particular period. Now, one such service is, right, let's say the helicopter transportation or chopper services. Helicopter transportation or chopper services. Now, listen to me very carefully. The last couple of weeks, Multiple accidents have taken place where people have lost lives, including an infant. Including an infant, by the way. I'm not talking about the Gujarat air crash, I'm talking about Uttarakhand helicopter crash now. So, in the last couple of weeks, there have been multiple instances where crashes have been reported, where people have lost their lives. Now, based on that issue, the DGCA, Directorate General for Civil Aviation, has issued an order to the authority which has been set up by Uttarakhand government. The Uttarakhand government, please understand this, back in the year 2013 has set up an authority, UCADA, Uttarakhand Civil Aviation Development Authority. I'll repeat it, Uttarakhand Civil Aviation Development Authority. So this authority has been set up by the government, state government of Uttarakhand, and this authority will basically regulate, promote the copter services or the chopper services for the people visiting these char dhams. Now, next important point. Once they provide these kind of services, certain charges will be imposed. This authority is also collecting certain amount of royalty for allowing the companies to offer these kind of services. According to various estimates, there are around 20 companies, 20 private sector agencies which are providing the chopper services for the people visiting these chardhams. In fact, you must have seen various newspapers, various ads in the YouTube, or even in certain places, these advertisements are displayed where they will basically say, if you want to have a chardham visit, right, the packages are available at so and so prices. Now, what is the issue here? Why very often, I hope you understand this, why very often these kind of accidents or let's say the crashes do take place in this region? The reasons are very simple here. Let me go point by point here. Point number one, it is stated that one of the primary reasons for these kind of chopper crashes that happen is the government policies itself. One of the primary reasons is the government policies itself. What do you mean by government policies here? I said the state of Uttarakhand has set up UCADA, the Development Authority. This development authority has imposed certain conditions and regulations over the companies which offer these chopper services. For example, for helicopters to operate, they will have to take off and land on these helipads. They'll have to take off and land. These helipads are developed by, these kinds of helipads in the region are developed and maintained by the Uttarakhand Civil Aviation Development Authority. Now, many of the experts argue that these kinds of helipads, especially at a higher altitude, for example, the one that is present at Kedarnath, it is at an elevation of 11,000 feet. So, many of these particular helipads are not correctly maintained, properly maintained. And not just that, the conditions are that whenever a private sector agency will provide the chopper services, they will land on the helipad, they will take off on the helipad. For every landing, they will have to pay certain amount of royalty, certain amount of money to UCADA. Point number one, they will have to pay certain amount of royalty. And right, they also have a regulation in terms of what is the pricing per passenger. When these choppers are carrying passengers or taking the passengers, flying the passengers, per passenger, what is the maximum price of the ticket? That is also imposed. The maximum limit that has been imposed by UCADA is 8,000 rupees per passenger. 8,000 rupees per passenger. So now you think from the perspective of a private sector carrier. Think from the perspective of a private sector carrier. For every landing that you do on the helipad, you'll have to pay money to the government authority. Second, for every passenger, you will have a maximum limit of 8,000 rupees. Don't you think in order to make more and more profitability, in order to earn more and more profits, you will try to have as many trips as possible? You'll try to carry as many passengers in as many trips as possible. And what happens because of this? Various experts argue that there are too many, right, let's say helicopters taking off, landing, etc., violating the norms or guidelines. Violating the various norms or guidelines. For example, whenever you're flying in these particular regions, and mind you, these are very hilly regions, the terrain is very difficult. The weather changes even in matter of minutes. So in these particular regions, there are guidelines regarding at what time you are allowed to take off, whether there's a sunlight or not, whether right there is a cloudy environment or not, etc. A lot of guidelines are there, because the private sector companies are worried about profitability in this particular case, and they have to basically pay money to the government authorities. They'll have to take care of the pricing of the ticket, etc. In order to achieve all of it, they will try to violate the norms. They will try to basically violate these particular guidelines. And one of the incidents that has taken place is precisely because of this. When the environment is not correct, when the right visibility is not proper, all of these are a perfect recipe for disasters. And because these companies run behind profitability, the lives of the passengers are put at risk here. Right? So government policies are contributing. In addition to this, what are the other issues? Right? I told you this particular terrain is a hilly terrain. It is a hilly terrain, very, very difficult terrain to navigate. And some many of the experts have stated that the the potential of the human, potential of the machines are tested in these particular terrains. And in these particular terrains, the landing sites, let's say emergency landing sites, are also not available. Right? So that is the second reason. The third reason, the usage of technology here. What do you mean by technology? In this particular region, one of the concern that has been raised by various experts, not the first time but earlier also, is that there is no separate meteorological office which can provide real time information to these particular companies. Real time weather information. Real time weather information. For example, suddenly the clouds are formed, visibility will go down, right? The light will go down, penetration of light will go down, the winds will start flowing at a very faster speed, and all of these are not right the right situation or the right environment for flying of the choppers. So separate meteorological department is not available in this particular region. In addition to all of these, when you put all of these particular together, there is one more issue here, one more problem. Experts point out that the kind of navigation that is used, they use high frequency radio or high radio frequency technology based, high radio frequency based equipments. That is, high frequency radio signals are used for communication, for navigation, etc. And the problem with this is, the experts point out that when you use a high frequency radio waves, these generally travel in a straight line. Unlike, let's say, low frequency waves, which can bend, which can turn around, right? Let's say the hilly regions. And many of the times the communication cannot be established. If the visibility is very less, there is a danger that the choppers, because they are not able to see everything clearly, they may crash land somewhere, right? The chopper might simply fall into a gorge. So these are some of the issues which have been raised associated with the helicopter crashes that have happened very recently. Now, some of you might be thinking, sir, if there are so many issues, why is the government allowing such facilities in the first place? Valid question. You might be thinking, if there are so many issues associated with chopper services, why is the government allowing all of this in the first place? Reasons are very simple. Point number one, like I said, this is a very difficult terrain. The roads are there, but despite developing all weather roads multiple times, right? Let's say there are landslides, the roads are destroyed, or the accessibility becomes a problem. That is the first reason. Second reason, if everything is correct, even if the roads are visible, all the roads are operational, nothing wrong with that, it is because it is a very difficult terrain, it will take a very long time period for these, right, let's say people to visit all the char dhams or even go to a particular dham. It will take lot of time. But instead of traveling through road or these kind of, let's say, other sources, what if people can use the chopper services? within a span of hours, you can complete your visit to one of the Char Dhams. In fact, experts have stated that the best benefit, or let's say the benefit of using the chopper services, is that if you can book a chopper for all the Char Dhams within a matter of 7 to 8 hours, you can complete a visit of all the Char Dhams. Right? So that is a precise reason. In addition to this, there is one more advantage to this. What if the people who want to visit the Char Dhams, again I'm talking about Char Dhams, but you can extend it to other important religious places as well. What if the people want to visit are old? What if they are, let's say, Divangjan, etc.? In such cases or in such instances, don't you think, right, the chopper services will provide the benefit to them, will promote accessibility to them? So these are some of the reasons citing which government has started this, but there are certain concerns associated with this as well. Now, what is the way forward? What is the way forward? Because as a civil service aspirants, you'll have to write a way forward as well. So one of the recommendation is that first and foremost, we will have to set up a dedicated office in all these particular regions, which can provide real-time inputs regarding the change in weather to these, right? Let's say these companies which are providing chopper services. If the weather is not correct, if the weather is not conducive for taking a flight, for flying these choppers, there should be strict regulation regarding that. The chopper services should be stopped during that particular situation. Rather than running behind profitability, we should focus on saving the lives of these pilgrims. In addition to this, the government of India has launched an initiative called as Parvatmala Pariyojana. How many of you heard of this? Please do let me know in the chat section. Parvatmala Pariyojana. Under Parvatmala Pariyojana, the government of India has proposed a ropeway project. A ropeway project in these particular, right, religious places. So these are some of the important points associated with the helicopter crash. Please be very careful. Questions can be asked. For example, have a look at the question that I've given here. Descriptive question number 75. Examine the challenges associated with helicopter operations in high altitude religious circuits like Char Dham and suggest measures to enhance safety and accountability. Right? One question I've given for you to practice. Two more are there in today's session. Don't worry. Next, one more article associated with social issues, policy, governance, as well as economy. At this article, a full page article has been provided associated with unregulated alcohol consumption in India. The need to have a national policy associated with alcohol consumption. What are the important points? Please listen to me carefully. Why I've picked up this article? I'll give you two reasons. I'll give you two reasons. Whenever you talk about reforms in case of India, let's say associated with GST reforms, there will be discussion associated with GST on alcohol. And all of you, please do let me know. Do we have a GST on alcohol today in India? I want an answer from all of you. Point number two. Last year, there was an accident. There was a particular accident that took place in Pune, where a Porsche car hit two people who died. And it was found that the driver was right in a drunkard situation or inebriated situation. And whenever these kind of situations happen, whenever these kind of incidents happen, a lot of time discussion arises regarding drunken driving. Lot of time discussion arises how rich can manipulate the system, right? Leverage the system to go scot free, etc., etc. So in that particular context, there is a very nice article. As far as I'm concerned, this is a very nice article because it discusses the threadbare regarding what is the problem associated with alcohol consumption in India. Why people consume alcohol, and right, what is the issue with the regulation of alcohol, and what is the way forward. Is it okay? So let me have a discussion point by point. And one more reason I'm discussing this article is couple of years ago in the prelims examination, there was one question asked on Indian economy. There was one question asked on Indian economy again in prelims. And that is basically they used a term called as habit forming goods. In the question, there was one statement, and this particular statement was on the concept of habit forming goods. Anybody can tell me what is the meaning of a habit forming good? Right? Do let me know. If not, don't worry, I'll address it. So, point number one, what are the important points you need to understand? Right? For UPSC examination, focus on the UPSC examination from this article. Why do people consume alcohol? Why do people consume alcohol? In fact, various surveys have shown there are drawbacks to consumption of alcohol. Big drawbacks. Health issue is there, expenditure burden, right? Or impact on the overall society as well. Right? So there are so many issues with the consumption of alcohol. The safest level of drinking of alcohol is 0 ml. The article starts with the same statement. The safe limit for alcohol consumption is 0 ml, which means no consumption whatsoever. Then, in case of India, in case of India, right, there is a survey report that has been mentioned here. National Family Health Survey, NFHS 5. Remember this. You can quote this if at all a question is asked on this kind of a, let's say, issue, or even if it is asked in the interview. National Family Health Survey 5 mentions that 23% of male population in India and 1% of female population in India consume alcohol. So question arises, why? Why do people consume alcohol? There are multiple reasons. First reason, it is a habit forming product. It is a habit forming product. What do you mean by habit forming? Habit forming product or a habit forming good simply means based on my past experience, I'll take a decision on my future consumption. Is my statement clear to all of you? Please do let me know. Based on my past consumption experience, I will take a decision to consume the same product in the future. And that is basically called as a habit forming good. The best examples of habit forming goods, which are sin goods, are alcoholic products as well as the tobacco products. Alcoholic products as well as the tobacco products. And that is the reason, don't you think, the government, if they want to collect more amount of revenue, some of the goods they will target will be these kind of products. Is it okay? Some of the products that they will target if they want to collect more taxes are, right, let's say, the alcohol products as well as the tobacco products. Reason being, the government knows despite the price going upwards, people will not stop the consumption. They will continue to consume this, but at the same point of time, government will be able to generate more and more amount of revenue. Done? Okay. Right. So one, it is a habit forming product. Second, influence. Second one is influence. Influence means what? Societal pressure, peer pressure. I'm pretty sure all of you have seen this, at least, right, with happening with somebody else. Peer pressure, right? Because the friends are taking alcohol, they will also be forced to consume alcohol. Because they want to be part of a certain group, they will consume alcohol. Right? So societal pressures, peer pressure, or being influenced by someone. Being influenced by someone, for example, celebrities. All of you will agree with me because I hope you understand this. There is a discourse here. There is the argument as well as a counter argument. What is the argument? Argument is you see heroes consuming alcohol. You see your favorite sports person consuming alcoholic products, and you will also be influenced. And many of the celebrities do not endorse this idea. They basically say, no, no, no. Right? That should not be a problem. Just because I'm drinking, just because I'm committing violence in a movie, that doesn't mean people will pick it up. People will basically right accept it and basically follow it. I am of exactly the opposite opinion. That is, if you, who is being followed by many people, consume these kind of products, endorse these kind of products, show it in the movies, show it in your photos, etc., people will follow you. People will follow it. Why? There are fans. There are people who will be influenced by you. Why not? They will follow you. Just because, right, because just you believe that. If I show that people will not follow it, doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I'm of the strong opinion that people will follow it. Right? So, the influence, that is the second factor. Third factor is cheaper. These products are cheaper, especially the Indian made liquor is very cheaper, right? Very affordable in India, right? So, fourth factor, the government policies itself. The government policies itself. What do you mean by government policies here? The government of India earlier imposed regulations restricted displaying of ads, display of ads using these kind of products. But the government of India did not put a blanket ban on any type of ad. Not on any type of ad. Basically, direct advertisements were not allowed. Where you cannot market, advertise the liquor products, the tobacco products, etc. Direct advertising was banned. So, what the companies did, they basically started using the concept of surrogacy advertisement. Advertisements became very, very famous. Even today, the government of India is trying to find it very difficult to restrict the surrogate ads. Now we are imposing bans on even the surrogate ads. Guidelines have been issued. Right. So these are some of the reasons which have contributed to higher consumption of alcohol in the domestic market. I'm talking about India. So what is the way forward then? Problem is simple, right? What is the problem if people will consume alcohol? In many cases, there have been multiple studies which have been conducted which connect consumption of alcohol with cancer. They're connecting consumption of alcohol with cancer. In case of India, the consumption of alcohol is connected to multiple crimes. It has been connected, right, to domestic violence. It has been connected to, right, let's say people being pushed into poverty because the productivity is affected, etc. So there are various concerns or issues associated with consumption of alcoholic products. So what is the solution? Right, I've given you the two laws. Please make a note of this. The two laws which restrict showcasing of these ads, that is a direct advertisement of the products such as tobacco and alcohol. The two laws are: one, Cable Television Network Regulation Act of 1995, Cigarettes and Other Tobacco Products Kotpa Act of 2003. These are the two laws. Please remember this. In addition to this, multiple guidelines issued by different authorities are there. So now the question is, what is the way forward? What can be done in the coming days? What should be done in the coming days, right? So that these particular issues would be addressed. Point number one, the writer simply says there is a need for national policy regarding alcohol consumption. There is a need for national policy. Right now, we do not have a national policy. What do you mean by that? Regarding alcohol, especially alcohol for human consumption, the policy is generally taxation, the production, etc., is done by the state governments. Is it okay? It is formulated, implemented by state governments. And that is the precise reason you must have seen the state governments will determine what will be the tax rate, what will be the excise tax rate applicable when alcohol is produced and sold in the respective state. And what is the minimum age for consuming alcohol? There is no uniformity in India because the laws are made, guidelines are made and implemented by the state government. There is a range from one state to another state. The minimum age keeps on changing. So that is the reason the writer simply argues in favor of a national policy in order to address all of these particular issues. In addition to national policy, what are the other things that have been recommended? Let's go one by one here. Affordability. I told you the domestically produced alcohol, a lot of them are very affordable. Why doesn't government impose a higher tax, much higher tax? Try to impose much higher tax so that at least the prices of these cheaper liquor which are present in the domestic market will become, right, let's say, much less affordable. The prices will go beyond the limit for certain people, etc. And so argument is, on one side you will be able to contain the consumption of this sin good. At the same point of time, if somebody purchases, then they will end up paying higher taxes. Government will collect taxes. But argument is many of these are very affordable to the people. Right? Try to make it less affordable by imposing higher taxation. Second one, whatever taxes you collect, do not use it for any purpose. Right now, what the government does is simply collects the taxes, puts it in the right, let's say division, center, puts it in the pool and utilize it for any purposes. The writer simply says, how can you make the system much more accountable? How can you make it much more transparent, accountable, improve the confidence of the people that what you're trying to do is there in benefit? The argument is whatever taxes you have collected, collect it in a different fund. Have a separate dedicated fund for it and use it for specific purposes. For example, providing health services, providing education services, etc. So that the people will realize that, okay, whatever taxes you are collecting by imposing on these products, it is being used for good purposes. Right? That is the second argument. Third one is access to alcohol must be curbed, especially in cities. You must have seen in main roads, in localities nearby the schools. In many instances, right, we have these alcoholic, right, let's say shops which are set up, so it is very easily accessible. And with the rise of incomes, per capita incomes in India, right, because these are affordable, consumption increase. So access to alcohol must be curbed. Fourth one, crack down on advertisements. Even in surrogate advertisements, crack it down. Somebody was asking, or many people were asking, what is a surrogate ad? Surrogate ad, basically you are promoting one product, but that is not the main product. That is not your main intention. You are basically promoting something else. Surrogacy in place of something else. Okay. Promote plain packaging. For example, in case of tobacco products, many countries follow the concept of plain packaging. Plain packaging simply means there is nothing written on the packaging of the product except the name. That's it. Except the name. Nothing else is given. Many of the times, because the packaging is so attractive, the bottles are so attractive, right? It attracts a lot of consumers. So go for plain packaging. Increase the awareness, conduct campaigns, right? Promote the awareness regarding what is the ill effect of consumption of alcohol. Educate the people so that at least certain population on their own will move away from alcohol, or because of the family pressure will move away from alcohol. And one more argument that has been provided, way forward that has been given, is lot of misinformation is present on the internet. Lot of misinformation is present on the internet regarding the consumption of alcohol. That misinformation should be suppressed. It should be flagged. Many of the websites basically say consumption of alcohol is good for health. The writer simply says no, such kind of information should be suppressed, should not be made available for the people, because they use that as a context to consume alcohol. Right? So these are some of the recommendations that have been provided. Done? Okay. So these are important points. Based on this, I've given one more question here, descriptive question. Please have a look at this. India's alcohol crisis cannot be solved through isolated actions or state level measures. It is the time for a national alcohol control policy and program that prioritizes people over profit, prevention over revenue, and a long term well being over short term. Question for 15 marks, 250 words. If you're wondering, sir, in which paper this kind of question can be asked, social issues paper. Social issues paper, right? So please be very careful. Okay, let me go forward now. Those who have doubts, please hold on to your doubts. I'll address it at the end. Okay, next article. Manrega to be resumed in West Bengal. MGNREGS to be resumed in West Bengal. Now, there are two things that are there in the current affairs. This is one article, and I'll add this to one more article from Indian Express. This also has created a lot of buzz, lot of discussion has happened, not in Hindu, but in other newspapers. For the first time, the government of India has imposed a spending cap on Manrega scheme. What is the meaning of it? What is the importance of it? Why this could be the next flashpoint between the center as well as the states? I'll explain it. Just give me a minute. Now, let me start. Now, listen to me very carefully. The government of India introduced a scheme by the name of Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. First, they brought in a bill, Manrega, right? That is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Followed by that, they implemented Manrega scheme. Now, what is the speciality of this particular scheme? It provides 100 days wage opportunities, wage labor to unskilled labor in a rural part of India. 100 days wage opportunities for unskilled labor work, manual work for adults in the rural households. That is one important point. Second very important point is, please remember this, MGNREGS is a demand driven scheme. It is a demand driven initiative. What do you mean by demand driven initiative? Unlike other schemes, unlike other schemes, in this particular scheme, if you're one of the beneficiaries, you will put up an application demanding job, that is unskilled labor. And once you apply for this particular unskilled labor, in the next 15 days, remember this, in the next 15 days, the work has to be allocated to you. The point clear to everyone here? The work has to be allocated to you. And that is mandatory under section 3, of Manrega. Mandatory under section 3. Now somebody will ask me, sir, what if they don't allocate work to me? If they do not allocate work to you, then they will have to pay allowance. Then they will have to pay allowances. Right? So that is the reason. Remember the statement. It is a demand driven initiative. And when you have a demand driven initiative, automatically what happens? Imagine you've allocated, let's say I'll take a simple number to make you understand. Imagine you've allocated, let's say 10,000 crore rupees this year under Manrega during the budget presentation. But the demand for the labor is so high, 10,000 is not sufficient. Now you will have to allocate 12,000 crore rupees. Is this possible? Yes. It happens, by the way. That is a fact. It happens. That is the reason very often the government simply says, in the announcement of the budget, I will allocate this much. But in the month of, let's say, October, November, when the budget session is when the next session is happening, we will increase the allocation. We will go for supplementary allocation for Manrega. Right? So these are certain very important points. I'll continue this discussion with the next article. Don't worry. Let me address this article first here. Let me address this article first. What has happened? In West Bengal, the central government from 2022, right, during 2022, the central government announced that they would not be implementing Manrega scheme. Simple. They announced that, right, after this, they are not going to implement anything under Manrega in the state of West Bengal. Why? The central government found that there were certain, right, let's say, misappropriation of the funds, certain issues regarding how the projects are being implemented. Irregularities were reported regarding the implementation of the scheme in the state of West Bengal. So, citing that, Union government simply said, no, we will not continue the implementation, we'll stop, right, and we will not allocate any more funds to the state of West Bengal. Now, that was challenged, right? There was a petition filed in the Calcutta High Court. Now, the Calcutta High Court has issued an order asking the Union government to restart. I hope you understand. Asking the Union government to restart the Manrega scheme projects in the state of West Bengal. And it's not right without any conditions. The High Court simply said, if the Union government wants to impose certain restrictions or conditions which are not applied in other states, if they want to do that, they can do that. But just because there are certain irregularities, a scheme of the Union government cannot be put in a cold storage till perpetuity. For longer duration, you cannot simply put the implementation scheme, right, at risk here. Why? People are dependent on the schemes. The unskilled labor in the rural part of India is dependent on the schemes. Although the state government had launched one more scheme where they provided 50 days of wage opportunities, now the High Court has directed the center, the Union government, to relaunch Manrega in the state of West Bengal. This is an update. Please remember this. Now come to this article. Why this article is important? Why this will become the next flashpoint if implemented between the center and the states? Let me explain that to you. Some time ago, I said the central government allocates the funds in the presentation of the budget. That is, focus on Manrega now. But the funds, right, are utilized. 60 to 70% or 80% of the funds might be utilized in the 7 to 8 months of implementation of the project. And because this is a demand driven initiative, now the government doesn't have any option but to allocate more funds in the month of November, or let's say in the month of October. And if these particular funds are also utilized, and which government says it happens, by the month of January or February, the government simply says, whatever funds I've announced in the budget, plus a supplementary allocation, all the funds have been utilized. Now, people will work for the month of, let's say, March, February, March, etc. The wages are not paid because the allocation is not there. All of you able to understand? The allocation amount or allocated amount along with the, right, let's say the additional amount allocated, all of that has been utilized. And let's say in the month of March, people are working under Manrega scheme, funds are not there for payment of wages here. What does it actually mean? It simply means next year, in the next fiscal, when the funds are allocated again for the Manrega scheme, from this allocation, certain funds are used for the payment of wages which are pending of the last financial year. Everybody is able to understand this? Do let me know in the chat section. Next year, when the allocation is done in the budget, certain amount of funds out of this are used for the payment of pending wages of the last financial year. And if you're wondering, sir, how much? Generally, it is in the range of 30%, 40% of the total allocation. Right? For example, this year, for the current financial year, the government of India has allocated 86,000 crore rupees. Has allocated 86,000 crore rupees. Out of that, the government simply says around 40% will be used for the payment of pending wages of last year. The government simply says this is not the right way to implement a scheme. This is not the correct way for fiscal prudence for us. So that is the reason for the first time ever, right? That is the reason this becomes important. For the first time ever, the government of India has capped the expenditure under Manrega to 60% in the first half of the financial year 26. In the first 6 months of the current financial year, right, more than 60% of 86,000 crore cannot be spent. It should not be spent. That is the meaning of a cap here. Now, what is the concern? Concern is very simple. If the government is going to impose a cap, a restriction on the expenditure, don't you think it is against the provisions under Manrega Act? Let me know. Don't you think it will go against the provisions under Manrega? Because Section C says if somebody wants to work, submits an application under Manrega, next 15 days you will have to allocate the work. If the government will restrict the expenditure to 60%, what if all the 60% is spent in the first 4 months only? What will you do for allocation of work for the next 2 months? Right? So there is a concern which has been raised by various experts regarding that. No clarification has been provided by the government so far. So going forward, we'll have to wait and see how this policy will be implemented, and if this will become, most likely it will become one more flashpoint between the center as well as the state governments. Done? Everybody is okay? Can I go forward now? Now, associated with this, MCQ number 136. Consider the following statements regarding Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. Statement 1. It is a demand driven scheme. Statement 2. Under the scheme, the wages paid throughout India is same irrespective of the state. The MGNREGS recognizes employment as a legal right. How many of the statements are true? Do let me know in the chat section very quickly. Otherwise, I'll start the discussion. It is a demand driven scheme. Yes, it is a demand driven scheme. Lot of you are saying option A. Let me solve it. Under the scheme, the wages paid throughout India is same irrespective of the state? Absolutely no. Please remember. Remember, it is not the same. From one state to another state, it will keep on varying. And who will decide the wages under Manrega? Remember this, it is decided by the center. According to section 6 of the act, it is decided by the center. And center uses the inflation indicator, right? The pricing level, etc. From one state to another state, the wages will differ. Third statement, MGNREGS recognizes employment as a legal right. Yes, remember this. It recognizes employment under this particular scheme as a legal right. Yes, if you want to work, the government has to provide work to you. That is a legal right. Again, under MGNREGS, not all the other jobs. Statement 3 is also correct. 1, 3 are correct. Right option for the question will be option B. Only 2 of the statements are true. Let me go forward. Next article. Defense Minister to participate in Shanghai Cooperation Organization meet. Very important. Please make a note of this. The Defense Minister is set to participate in SCO Defense Ministers meeting in China. This is going to happen very soon. And after this, later part, right? In the later part of this year, there is a meet of head of the government. Sorry, the head of the states. That is essentially where the Prime Minister of India has been invited. He is expected to participate in that. That is, after the BRICS meet will happen in July, there will be SEO heads of the state summit in China later this year. Prime Minister is going to visit. What is the importance of this article? What is the importance? Point number 1, SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, essentially is an alliance. It is an alliance. Multiple countries, including India, form this alliance. What is the importance of this alliance? This alliance has been made for promotion of stability, addressing the issue of terrorism, that is security issue, right? Basically to address even the political issues as well. So political, economic, as well as security alliance. That is SCO. India is one of the members now. Originally, it was not a member because understand this. Initially, this was called as a Shanghai 5. Initially, this grouping was called as a Shanghai 5, 1996. Then in 2001, this became Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Then later on, India, Pakistan, etc. became the members. Today, multiple countries, including India, are party or members to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now, what is the importance of SCO? SCO basically brings together multiple countries within Asia to deliberate and discuss amongst themselves regarding multiple issues. For example, let's say what should be the action or what kind of measure should be taken to address the terrorism, anti-terrorism, right? Let's say measures, or right, let's say economic cooperation, policy cooperation, defense cooperation, etc. And that is the reason there are multiple parts to the SEO. Within the organization structure, there are multiple parts, right? Multiple groupings or multiple, let's say committees are there, groups are there within SEO. The highest decision making authority, because this is there in the paper, I'm mentioning this. The highest decision making authority of SEO is right, the group of heads of state. Remember this, the council of heads of the state is the highest decision making authority under SEO. In addition to this, under SEO, we also have council of foreign ministers, council of foreign ministers. We have right, rats. What is this rats? It is also mentioned here. Have a look at this. Regional anti-terror structure. Regional anti-terror structure. We also have right, the council of business support or the SEO business council. SEO business council. So these are some of the examples of right, what kind of organization is SCO. Now, what is the importance of this meet? What is the importance of this meet? Why should you focus on it? Point number 1, this is the first time that the India's defense minister is visiting a foreign country, that too specifically China, after Operation Sindoor. Right? This is the first time, first foreign visit of a India's defense minister, especially that too to a country that is China, which supported not directly but in other ways to Pakistan, provided support to Pakistan during this particular, right, let's say conflict between India and Pakistan. Second, this is also the first time when India's defense minister is visiting China after 4 years. Because back in the year 2020, I'm pretty sure all of you heard of this. There was a conflict in a specific region that is specifically involving forces from India as well as China. Galwan clashes. Galwan clashes. After Galwan clashes, the relations between India and China deteriorated. Right, the trade to certain extent was affected because of that. The pilgrims which basically visit Kailash Manasarovar, they were stopped from visiting. Right, so there was a deterioration of bilateral relations between India and China. But after the meet that happened between the Prime Minister as well as Xi Jinping, the head of the Chinese government, now there is a normalization process that is taking place. Normalization process. In terms of, let's say, disengagement has taken place. From the line of actual control, disengagement of the troops has taken place. Indians who want to visit Manas Sarovar, the first batch is going to happen now after so many years, right? That China blocked the Manas Sarovar, the trips as such. In addition to that, now there is also, right, let's say this particular trip which has been scheduled. That defense minister will go to China, participate in the meet of SCO. Right, done. So these are certain important points. Please make a note of this. In the coming days, again, there will be a lot of discussion on this. Reason being, lot of meetings are going to happen. Right, the defense minister from India will have consultations with or discussions with other ministers as such, etc. So lot of points will be mentioned in the coming days. Now, associated with this, one more MCQ. MCQ number 137. Consider the following statements regarding Shanghai Cooperation Organization. India is one of the founding members of the SCO. I've told you this. No, it was not a founding member. Later, it joined. The Council of Heads of the State is the highest decision making body of SCO. Straightforward. Again, straightforward factual question. Nothing conceptual is there here. Okay, an update associated with, right, the plane crash. The plane crash, one update. Earlier, I told you the box, right? That is the black box has been retrieved. The black box has been retrieved, but I told you this. In India, we have developed a facility. We have developed a facility which has been developed by the AAIB, Aircraft Accident Investigation, right? Let's say board. This has developed an authority. I said this has been developed in, right? Let's say New Delhi. Digital flight data recorder and cockpit wise recorder lab has been set up in Delhi. And I told you this lab will now be utilized or will be used for basically, right, decoding or reading out whatever information is available and arriving at certain information as to what caused the crash of the flight. Now the authorities are basically saying the equipment that is available at this lab is not sophisticated enough. It is not properly equipped to read this kind of a, right, equipment. That is the black box. It is not in a position to read this particular black box. And that is a precise reason why now there is a consideration that instead of using this lab, can we send this black box to some other country? Earlier we have done this. Earlier also we have used it. I told you this. Before setting up this, right, let's say lab, I told you we used to send the black boxes in case of accidents to other countries such as Australia, the other countries such as Britain, right, countries such as USA. So in this particular context, now the article simply says the authorities might send this particular black box to USA. That is, there is, right, a probing agency in USA by the name of National Transportation Safety Board. It could be sent to this particular, right, a lab here. In fact, I'll just give an update. In fact, yesterday's Economic Times, not today, yesterday's Economic Times has categorically stated that black box is being sent already. It has been decided. That is the newspaper report. I'm not telling you that. It stated that it has already been decided to send to USA. But today in Hindu newspaper, they say they are considering. They are simply considering whether to send it to USA or, right, anywhere else. But if they send it to USA, this will be the lab where they'll be sending it. And in addition to this, one more updated information is there. whenever these kind of crashes happen, reports are published before the publication of the final report. Okay, before the publication of final report, a preliminary report is published. Is it compulsory for the authorities to publish a preliminary report? There are no such guidelines in India. Although ICAO says a preliminary report has to be published, there are no such guidelines. In this case, the authorities are saying there will be a preliminary report and then a final report. Okay, now let me go forward to the next article. India FDI slid 1.8% in 2024. I know a lot of you will be reading this article, just remembering what is given in the article, the name of the report, and you will jump to the next article. You will believe nothing else is important. Why? You believe that because the size of the article is so small. Correct? Your argument will be, sir, article is very small like this. Right? It will hardly fit in, right? A palm, my palm. So I don't feel it is important. Not always. I'll tell you why. Have a look at this. One report has been published by United Nations. To be very precise, it is United Nations, right? The CTAD, that is United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, right? UNCTAD, one of the parts of United Nations. This report title is right, essentially the World Investment Report. Remember that World Investment Report. What does the report basically mention? Hindu simply says, in the report they have mentioned that FDI flow in India has gone down. And that is a fact, by the way. Okay, nothing wrong, nothing right, false there. It is correct. The FDI inflow into India has gone down. How much? According to United Nations report, the FDI inflows have gone down by 1.8% in the calendar year. Have gone down by 1.8% in the calendar year, and which basically means investment in asset creation, etc., also has gone down, which also basically means capital formation. That is how many as capital, that is assets, are created as a percentage of GDP. That contribution also has gone down. This is, in a nutshell, what is given in the report. This is, in a nutshell, what is given in the report. You don't have to remember exact number of FDI in terms of billion here. Not required. But I read other newspaper articles today morning. There was a very nice discussion which was given in another newspaper. Let me try to make you understand the importance of that particular discussion which was given in other newspaper. Look at the descriptive question here. Look at the descriptive question. I'll give you the answer. Don't worry. The foreign direct investment plays a crucial role in achieving the sustainable development goals, especially in developing countries such as India. Examine the ways in which FDI contributes to the sustainable development goals. Also discuss the challenges associated with this. A lot of you will read this particular question. You will try to connect it to this article, and you will be right basically thinking, what is the connection? Suddenly the UPSC is asking questions with FDI. Yes, in the last couple of months, a lot of discussion is happening in the context of FDI going down in India. Now UPSC can connect the FDI with sustainable development goals and ask you the question. And you'll be wondering from where they have picked up this question. Nobody has discussed, no book has given this question, etc. I will give you directly from the report what is mentioned. Have a look at this. What is given in the report? The report states that there is a sharp decline in investment in sectors which are aligned with the sustainable development goals. There's a sharp decline. In fact, just before I go forward, please understand. In case of India, how much is the decline in FDI? Around 2%. Is it the highest decline? No. China has experienced the highest decline. That is by around 29%. China has experienced the highest decline by around 29% in FDI. And globally, the report says globally, the FDI has actually gone down. And the primary reason the report simply says is because of the global tensions. The tensions which are happening between Russia, Ukraine, in the Middle East, in the Western Asia, etc. Because of these kind of policies, in addition to the protectionist policies, the global FDI has actually declined. But which areas have suffered majorly because of this particular decline in FDI? Have a look at this. Infrastructure investments have dropped by 35%. In renewable energy, it has fallen by 31%. In spending on water, sanitation, and hygiene, it has fallen by 30%. Agriculture food investments have declined by 19%. Now, you please tell me, very simple question to all of you. Investment in agriculture, investment in sanitation and hygiene, investments right in renewable energy, investment in overall infrastructure. Don't you think all of them are connected to sustainable development goals? Correct? All of them are connected to sustainable development goals. So that is the reason. Please be very careful. Do not jump to conclusion based on right how many lines are there in the article, that whether the article is important or right. Let's say you will completely ignore that article. Don't do that. Please be very careful. Done. Okay. Try out this particular question. Now that you know what is the connection between infrastructure and sustainable development goals associated with this, not with this, but with a report. MCQ 138. MCQ number 138. Suddenly, most of you look at this MCQ and say, Sir, where is the discussion on energy transition index? Where is the discussion on energy transition index? You discussed on the United Nations report. Now you're asking a question on energy transition index. That's the reason initially I said there will be a surprise article, just like what UPSC does. There was one more article in the business line. Please have a look at this. The Energy Transition Index report is published by World Economic Forum. Please remember that. World Economic Forum, WEF, World Economic Forum. This report has been published very recently. This article I've taken from the business line. India has been ranked 71st out of 118 countries. India has been ranked 71st out of 118 countries. Everybody is okay? And which is the let's say the top rated country? That is the first rank. The first rank is essentially given to Sweden. And what parameters are considered in determining the index rating here? What are the parameters? Security, sustainability, and equity. Security, sustainability, and equity are the three indicators used for creating the index. India's ranking is 71st. Everybody is okay? Can I move forward now? Please do let me know. Everybody is okay? So, all I'm trying to do is making you prepare for the UPSC preliminary examination. You will read everything else and go, and suddenly UPSC will throw a googly like this right in the preliminary exam. Okay, let me go forward. Two articles associated with art and culture. Two articles associated with art and culture. One, the Keeladi issue, right? The Keeladi excavations that have been happening, and second one is the Archaeological Survey of India hosting a summit, right? International conference, basically for deciphering Indus Valley script. I'm sorry, Indus Valley script. Now, what is the importance? Both of them are connected to each other. Let me start with the first one here. At global meet on Indus script. The Indus Valley script, right, although is there after the excavation with us. We have found it out. We have not been able to decipher these particular, right, let's say the pictures or the pictorials which are given in the script. This has been one of the biggest problems because we do not know how to read it, how to decipher it. And that is the precise reason. I hope you understand. That is the precise reason. Now, the Archaeological Survey of India has announced that they will conduct an international conference of 3 days where experts from other countries will be called, and right they will try to decipher the script of Indus Valley. Right, this is point number one. And this is connected to this article because in ancient India, you will read about it. Indus Valley civilization. After the end of Indus Valley civilization, generally the argument is the population, the people moved into the other part of India, that is specifically towards the Gangetic plains, settled there, and after that, it essentially led to the emergence of Mauryan Empire over a period of time. But in the last couple of years, there has been one discussion. There is one more discussion that is happening. Is it that the Indus Valley civilization, end of it, population only moved towards the right, let's say the Gangetic plains, or certain population also moved to the southern part of India? That is essentially to the parts such as Tamil Nadu. And that is where this excavation that is taking place in Keeladi, it is there in the newspaper. Is it okay? Lot of discussions happening. Please be very, very careful. Straightforward question can be asked in the preliminary examination. The argument is very simple here. Certain excavation has been happening for multiple years in this region, a small place in Tamil Nadu. And right, multiple, let's say, after excavations, multiple items have been recovered, such as pots, such as beads, right, such as, right, let's say, other types of products as well. So, a lot of ornaments, a lot of, right, let's say, material has been recovered. Now, the argument is back in the year 2023, there was a detailed report. I'm connecting it to current affairs. Listen to me carefully. Back in 2023, there was a detailed report which was published or which was submitted by this archaeological survey person at by the name of Amarnath Amarnath Ramakrishna. Amarnath Ramakrishna. Right. So there was a detailed report. It said to be around 982 pages. A detailed report was submitted to Archaeological Survey of India. And according to that particular report, the report simply states that this Keeladi excavations, the civilization that was set up here, it was an urban, right? That is, urban developments were done here, and this was much before even the start of Mauryan Empire on the other side was done. These developments happened much before, right, the Mauryan Empire. So argument was this is right having a connection to Indus Valley civilization. Right, there is a need to connect, and if this is done, there will be a lot of importance or changes in the history now, and the importance to Tamil Sangam etc. will start right being given, or it will have high priority. More importance will be given in terms of studies of evolution of different civilizations in India. So far, two things have happened. The Archaeological Survey of India so far has not revealed or authenticated this report. They have asked, right, let's say, further elaboration, further, right, studies to be done, further proof to be provided for these excavations. And very recently, this person has been transferred. Simple. This person has been transferred. And that has actually led to, right now, a point of conflict between, as it happens many of the times, the issues will become political in India. This also has become political in nature. You don't worry about the politics of it. Focus only on the concepts of it. And so this is right. Let's say the two articles, Keeladi site as well as the global meet on Indus script. Last article, just a pointer here. Supreme Court of India has criticized certain curbs that were imposed on the release of a Tamil movie in the state of Karnataka. Right? Release of a Tamil movie in the state of Karnataka. Okay. And before I go forward, some of you might be thinking, sir, are you a Tamilian? That's the reason you're supporting Tamil, etc. No, absolutely no. I'm not a Tamilian in the first place. Okay. The argument is the Supreme Court justices simply state when films are released, it's a form of free expression, freedom of speech. Theater is a freedom of speech, right? It's an expression of freedom of speech. Why there are so many cases, why there are so many, right, instances where people are getting hurt and they are simply, right, taking action against it. In fact, I hope some of you remember this. Some time ago, one of the justices remarked saying that getting hurt, right, or getting enraged has become a favorite pastime of Indians. Getting enraged has become a favorite pastime of Indians. The argument of the justices is if you are hurt, if your sentiments are hurt, there are other ways to take care of it. There are other methods to raise your voice, etc. You cannot basically go on the road and start behaving like a hooligan. You cannot start damaging properties. You cannot threaten people. That should not be allowed. That should not be considered as, let's say, right way whenever your sentiments are hurt. So, citing this, right, basically, the Supreme Court of India now has asked the state of Karnataka, or generally an order has been issued If such cases are there, it is the duty of the state to ensure protection is provided for the exhibitors. Done? So these are certain important points associated with the article here. Okay. Now, these are the 10 plus articles I wanted to cover, right, regarding the articles which have appeared in the Hindu newspaper plus Business Line plus Indian Express. If you have any kind of questions, please do let me know. I'll address your questions, then I'll close the session. Rajdeep Das, I understand economic static portion, but it is difficult to implement in MCQ. Why? My dear, you lack one, revision and confidence. The confidence will come essentially with revision. Revise, update with current affairs. Don't worry, over a period of time, right, you will be able to solve them. Okay. Anushka Singh, so the laws that you mentioned in alcohol topic, like Kotpala, do we have to go in deep diving? No, don't go into deep diving. Just remember the names of the law. Suddenly, if these kind of questions are asked in the mains, you will have sufficient fodder to write a very good answer. Okay. Any other question? Done then. So that's it from my side in today's session. See you tomorrow, sharp at 10 a.m. Again with articles from different newspapers so that your current affairs issues are addressed. If you like this initiative, do not forget to hit the like button. If you are yet to join our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Thank you. Have a great day.